Hello, and welcome to the Joy of Painting Middle-earth. I'm Timbo Took, and if this is your first time with us, thank you for joining the adventure. This is a time when we come together to paint the most fantastic landscapes Middle-earth has to offer. And sometimes we paint a scary one a time or two. That can be quite fun, you know. Now, for those of you who have joined my fellowship and you've painted with me before, or you've just sat back, taken a nap while I painted, thank you for coming back. And today, as a special thank you for all of you who have joined my little show from the beginning or somewhere along the way, I have a special painting planned for you. I know I always say that, but I have 4 special friends I was going to do paintings for. And one of my little hobbits asked me, "When will you do all those paintings?" And I thought about it. And there's only one answer, of course. Why, all of them at once. And this is what we have. That's right, we have a special easel that's been built to hold 4 canvases, so we can do all 4 paintings at once. We're going to do duplicate paintings of the same scene, but each will be unique in its own way, because as you know, the canvas is a partner in your painting, and it decides how much paint it's going to hold on to and how much paint it'll reject. Now today, we do have a sponsor, and our sponsor built the easel for us. And that's the indie author T. Stephen Sullivan. He writes contemporary adventures that take place on the high seas, or in the high seas, or under the high seas. I'm not quite sure how you say it, but he writes stories that are inspired by his own time in the submarine service with a touch of imagination added into it. That's right, you can find his novel Hot Run or the forthcoming Pirate Son at your favorite online retailers like Amazon or Barnes & Noble. So be sure to pick those up. Mr. Sullivan is no craftsman like the dwarves or the elves, but his father was a shop teacher. And if our easel holds up for the whole painting today, we'll know he was a better student for his father in shop than he was in algebra. Well, let's get to it. Okay, I've already prepared the canvas, and I've done that by putting down that magic white that the blue wizard, Bob Ross the Blue, taught us how to do. So we put the liquid white down on our white spots, and then I put the black in with an acrylic gesso paint. That's right, you can put acrylic paint down, let it dry, and paint oils over the top of it. You can't do it in reverse. You can't put an oil painting down and then put acrylic over the top. But in this case, we've put just some shadow for our valley that we're going to paint today. We've put that in, and I've gone over the top of that with some sap green and burnt umber, just so those colors will come out when we start to paint the valley. But for now, we're going to start with the sky. Now, today's painting, it comes from one of my favorite parts of the story, and that's in the Fellowship of the Ring, Book 2, Chapter 3, The Ring Goes South. What's happened is, our fellowship has just been formed in Rivendell, and they've headed out from there. So we're going to drop in the sky right now. I'm just using this ultramarine blue and some of our titanium white, and we're just going with a pale blue. Just mix that into your brush, and then we're going to paint today, and we're just going to go right across all the canvases. So here we go. Just come in up top with your crisscross strokes. Just bring that color in. And that's going to be one of the challenges today. We're going to have to use a lot of paint. So just mix that into your brush. We're just going to lay it down on top. Just come back and pick up some of that color. There we go. As I said, these are going to be 4 of the same painting, but they're all going to be unique in their own way. Some of the colors will be different on some of the other canvases, but that's okay. That makes each one a bit special. Just coming in, just picking up that color. There we go. And just now work that blue into the canvas. Now, I don't expect you to do 4 paintings all at once. It's just a bit of fun I'm having. But you can follow along with this painting, and as you do, just do the same things I do. Just when you start at the top and bring it down, and don't just mix in all those areas. Let the white still be there. We're going to have the traces of clouds, but we're not going to put a lot of clouds in today. Our sky is just going to stay a pale blue. Now, the thing I like about this part of the story is that our fellowship had just been formed and they had left Rivendell and they didn't know each other yet. Most of them were strangers. Of course, the hobbits knew each other and they knew Gandalf and that. But some of our party was just starting to figure the other out. And when they got on the road, they left Rivendell, and when they crossed the ford at the Bruinine River, they left the road and went south. Now, those first 2 weeks they marched south were very cold, very dreary weeks. And what they did was they slept during the day and they marched by night. That way, watchful eyes wouldn't spot them so easy. There we go. Just work that down. As I said, we're not going to mix a lot of clouds in there today. We're going to leave this sky like this pale blue. And you say, but Timbo, I thought you said it was dreary and cold, and they marched by night. Well, that was true for the first 2 weeks. But, as Professor Tolkien told the tale to us, they had been a fortnight on the way when the weather changed. The wind suddenly fell and veered round to the south. The swift-flowing clouds lifted and melted away, and the sun came out, pale and bright. Ah! I picked up a little bit of the yellow, the sunshine there, and dropped it in, but that's no worry. No bother at all. We just mix our color onto the canvas. There we go. There we go. As I said, the sun came out pale and bright. Let's clean off our brush. And we come to our easel, and to dry it off, you know what to do. We beat the Sauron out of it. There we go. Now, the last few paintings have been in the hobbit hole, and I can't just beat the Sauron out of it like that, because my paint thinner goes everywhere, and it makes a mess in the hobbit hole. Okay, so now that we have our sky done, and you can see there's those swift-flowing clouds that lift and melt away. Now, let's go put in some mountains. Okay, to make our mountain color, we're just going to come into our ivory black. We'll just mix it down and take some of our burnt umber. We'll put it in there as well. Maybe a little sap green. There we go. And just a touch of alizarin crimson. There we are. Just pick that up and pull it down, flatten it onto your palette. Now, we're going to drop in our mountains, and our travelers had come to the land the men called Hallin. That's right. And from there they had the misty mountains in front of them. And there were a few peaks that stood taller than the rest. One of them was Caradhras. Oh, you know that one. You know that one. That was a peak that they had planned to pass over. They planned to make the pass at the Red Horn Gate. But their plans were foiled when the mountains started to come down on top of them. And you know what laid under Caradhras. That's right, Khazad-dûm. Oh, that's a scary road to take. So we have our 3 peaks that rose above the rest. Just pull those into our canvas. There we go. Now we have to add them over here. This is what we do when we do multiple paintings at once. There we go. And the other peak back there. And one more of those tall peaks off in the distance. Put them over here now. Caradhras stuck up like a tooth. There we are. One more. Right over here. Bring it up. There we go. And these peaks are the furthest away. They're off in the distance. Oops. There we are. Now, we'll come back and just scrape that paint into the canvas. We're just leaving that outer edge and we're scraping off the excess paint. And we'll come back. We'll come back for that. There we go. Just pull that paint. Just push what you can into the canvas. And the rest, we just pull right off. There we go. There we are. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to use the 2-inch brush and we're going to pull that mountain down into the picture. Now remember, Caradhras is the peak right up front. So that's the one we're going to get to the last. And that'll keep it in that perspective of being in the front. So we'll just grab and pull our mountain range, starting with the third mountain that's furthest in the back. So we pull that down, come to the next, and pull it right over the top of it, keeping those angles that you have in mind. There we go. Now we come to the closest, and we pull that right down into the picture. There we go, come across. And we're going to do the same thing. You might want to knock some of that paint off your brush. Just beat the Sauron out of it on the easel. There we go. Pull it down this way and that. Remember, starting with the furthest to the right. That'll keep the perspective of that mountain being the furthest back. There we go. There we go. Just pull that down. Don't worry about the details at the bottom. We'll get to those. We'll get to those. Knock that excess paint off your brush. Here we are. Starting again at that furthest mountain away. Just bring that down. Bring that into the picture. There we go. Now we're at that. There's a bit of a glob of paint still there. We'll just pull that off. Now, leave that edge, but pull it down across the other mountain. There we go. There we are. Now, clean off your brush. Go to the next one. Again, just pull that down. Pull it down. We'll add the details that we want in a few. There we go. And you see, by leaving that one to do the last, you give that angle, that gives it the separation, makes it look like it's in the front. Okay. Now let's just clean off that brush. And we're going to come back and we're just going to tap this into the canvas. And what that's going to do is that'll create some mist right there at the bottom. Because after all, these are the Misty Mountains. There we go. Just tap that in. Tap that in. Okay, now let's give a little bit of detail on these mountains. And this is where you really have to start thinking about the way the light is coming into the picture. So this face, the sun is rising over this way. We can't see it yet, but that'll give us cast the light across the mountain on this side, leaving this other side in shadow. There we go. Okay, so we've got a very dark mountain color here, but we want to give this a bit of a reddish rock face to it. So we'll come in here, add some alizarin crimson into our burnt umber, and then pick up some of that titanium white. Bring it in here as well. There we go. That's nice. That gives us that reddish rock face. Just pull it out. Don't smash it all together. Give it a little more of that burnt umber. You want to keep some of that marbleization of the colors. Because of course, on your mountains, the rocks aren't going to be all one color. So, pull it down. And now, we're going to come up and we're going to do Caradhras first, because that one has the most red in it. And just pull that down right across. There we go. Just lightly. If you get too much on, don't worry, just cut it off and then come back. You pressed just a little too hard. That's okay, that's okay. We just come and we let it break off. There we go. Come back. And we'll do these peaks in the back. There we go. There we are. Get a little more paint on your knife. And we just lay that down. I must not have had enough on the edge. There we go. Just lightly, lightly, lightly. Bring it down. There we go. There we go. Just bring it into your picture. This one as well. The further away they are, the less detail they'll have. Just cut across your knife and bring it down. Now we do have to put some snow at the tops, but we'll just give this that undercolor first. Just remember your angles as you do this. There we go. Just grab it, touch it, pull it down. Let the canvas decide which of the paint it's going to keep and which it will reject. There we go. Now we want a little shadow color to go on the other side where the sun isn't hitting as brightly. So we're just going to pick up that dark color, work it in, just cut off a row and we'll come back to this side. And we'll bring it just down this way, giving ourselves that side that's in shadow. Grab as much of that dark as you can. There we go. Just bring it across and come down with it. There we are. Lightly, 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 just soft as air. Bring that down. Give yourself some separation with the mountain that's behind it. There we go. And just that easy. You have one side and the other of your mountain. One side catching that morning sunlight, the other side waiting for the afternoon when it's his turn. There we go. And these mountains that make up the Redhorn Pass, they're separate from the rest of the misty mountains that are in front of them. Now, we do need to tip that with a little bit of snow because we know from our story it's the snow that drives our travelers off of the mountain, and then the company, you know the story, they have to go through the mines of Moria. That's right. Okay, so let's mix up our snow. We're just going to take our titanium white. Let me wipe off this palette knife. There we are. And we're just going to bring this out. Cut across, just get a bead of white on your knife. And the same thing, the same way we did before. We're just going to come up and drop in some snow right on top of our mountain. There we go. And then wipe that off so we don't have too much color. And just bring it down, bring it down. There we go. There we go. It's that easy. You can do it. I know you can. You just don't touch it that hard. There we go. And you want some of that brownish red rock peeking through. Don't hide it all. Don't hide it all, because that's what gives the mountains its name. There we go. Come back and we'll do the same to this one over here. Same to him. That's our snow that'll come down on top of our company's head. There we go. Just drop it in. Same on this side. Oops, we forgot these mountains. We need to put some snow on them as well. Just bring it right down. There we are. Some of these canvases play nicer than others in certain spots. There we go. Now, we do want to put a little bit of shadow into our snow as well. So let's wipe off our knife. And we're going to mix up a little bit of the blue snow shadow. So just add some blue into that. We just want a light blue snow. So this one we do want to mix in so we don't have a lot of the deep blue in there. Just pick it up if you have to and smash it back down. There we go. Okay, that looks like a good snow for some shadow. Come back to our first canvas, cut across, and now on this side we'll just put some of that shadow color. There we go. Just drop it on. There we are. Do the same. Well, you don't have to do the same because you don't have... How many mountains is that? I'm not very good at arithmetic, but I believe it's 12 so far. There we go. Just let that just fall down your mountain, just like it's going to fall down on our fellowship soon enough. Soon enough. There we go. It's looking a little dark there. We picked up too much of our color. Let's grab some of this blue we used earlier for the sky. Come back to our titanium white. Mix it together again, maybe some more white. There we go. There we go, that looks nice. Come here. We don't need to spend all day doing this part, but we just want to add it in. There we go. Okay, now we've got our three mountains, those three challenging peaks that our fellowship has to deal with And we're going to come, and as I said, this is very misty at the bottom. So we're just going to take that, tap it out, and then we'll get on to the rest. Okay. I'm just going to maybe put a little bit of white on there. We have the liquid white on there as well. But I'm just going to put some white that can mix in there all the way down. Now let's come and just tap that in. So we just tap this foggy part of our mountain, just bring it right up, soften out those details. If you pick up some color, just knock it off. That's right. Just like my mother used to tell me, knock it off. There we go. Just bring that down. Watch your angles when you do this as well. Bring them up the mountain. There we go. There we are. This is a long ways away, so it's harder to see than the rest. I'm just going to clean off the brush real quick with some paint thinner. Haha, I beat the Sauron all the way down. Get out of town, you fool. Okay. There we go. Okay, now we've got that down. Let's put some more mountains in there and we'll get through these rather quick. I'm just going to pick up all this extra color we got lying about and we're just going to mix it into our mountains. That's right. Ouch! Okay. Settle down, Timbo. So what I've done is I've picked up all that extra color and I'm going to mix it together. Let's get a little more black in here. Let's darken this up a bit. Maybe a little bit of burnt umber. There we go. There we go. That kind of gives us a little bit of a gray-green rock. Okay, now that we have our color mixed up, we'll go back and we'll start down here. And for this, these mountains start and they just march right across the canvas. So we're just going to start right about here and we're just going to come up and these will come down and they come up. They get a little higher as they get closer. There we go. And these ones don't come to such rough peaks like our others. So we just bring them across. There we go. Scrape them down into the canvas. When you pick that paint up, you can just put it right back on your palette. We can use it again. Just leave that darker edge There we go. Put it back in, flatten it out, and we'll do the same over here. We're just gonna march right across the canvas with these. These mountains just come up, one right in front of the other. There we go. And just pull that excess paint off. Put it back on your palette so it doesn't get all messy. There we go. Back to the side. Excuse me, giant mountain, I'm just gonna come right here. There we go. These little guys, they act tough. They act tough. There we go. Just lay that down quickly under your canvas. And we'll come back and we'll put some more details onto these fellers. There we go. Pick it up, flatten it out, get some on your knife, and here we go. Right there. Right there, right in front of you. There we go. As I said, these don't come to tall peaks. These ones, they just kind of roll and roll and roll. These are the foothills of the Misty Mountains. Those mountains that our party needs to get over. Put some of that back. There we go. Okay, now we laid down just the base for those mountains. Oh, the sun's coming out. It's getting quite warm. Okay, now we're going to come back and we're going to soften out these mountains with our 2-inch brush. We pull this mountain, just remembering how our angles can put one in front of the other. Pull it down. There we go. There we go. Pull it this way and that. And that'll put it right in front. Okay, knock some of our paint off the brush. And then when we come this way, we go right over the top of it. And that will bring this mountain right in front of the other. And this way. Give it those angles. There we go. Just bring it down. Right down under your painting. There we go. Move over to our next one, and it's just going to be the same thing. We're going to bring it this way, and go that way, and come back, and pull right in front of them, And then he's going to come down this way. Just like that. And then this guy says, move, get out of my way. He's a bit bossy. But there's always somebody else who wants to take control and be in the front. And just pull that down into your painting. There we go. There we go. Just bring those mountains right down. Knock the Sauron out of the brush. Back here, same thing. Pull them down. We'll make this a big long rock face. And then he decides to come this way. And you can move your mountains this way. You can move them, you can bring them down. There we go. Right in front of the other. Well, it sounds like Farmer Maggot may have gotten a new tractor. One of those steam-powered doohickeys. I don't know about those. If you ask me, they've got Saruman written all over them. There we go. And let's come to our last mountain. And you're probably way ahead of me if you're painting along, just waiting for me to catch up to you. I'll get there eventually, I promise. There we go. We just form the shape of our mountain here. This guy, we'll give him, there we go. Just give him a little more shape. Just bring that down. Okay. Now, let's give our mountain some details and things. There we go. I love that part. Okay. Now, we're going to come back to these mountains, and we're going to give them, we'll mix in a little bit of green in there. There we go. Now for this one, I'm just going to start down on this side. We'll work our way this way and then that. Okay. And we'll start dropping in. Dropping in some details. There we go. There we go. Just pick it up. This is the dark side of the mountain right here. There we are. You just want to go real light. Just a very light touch here. Just let the canvas pick up what it will. Sometimes it picks up more than it should. It's a greedy canvas. Okay, come here. We're just going to drop in these little details here. There we go. Just a very light touch on this. Just this is our dark side that the sun doesn't touch. There we are. There we go. Just bring this down. Shoom, there we are. We're just putting in, this would be the cold side of the mountain if you were trying to climb that to pass over. This would be an uncomfortable side to travel across. Let's mix in some more of our colors. Just pick that up. There we go. Using as much of our paint as we can. Not letting any of it go to waste. Mix it all into the mountain. The mountains like that. The mountains like as much color as they can. There we go. Come back. Very light touch. There we are. This one is a big rock face here. Just hit into that morning sun. There we go. And you leave those little spots that might be catching a little bit of the sun. There we are. Now we've got our shadow put in. Let's mix up a color that will be a little bit of a highlight for the side of the mountain. We're not necessarily thinking of snow, but if there's a little snow mixed in there, that would make sense. But we'll make it as much of a light gray, like the rock, as we can. There we go. All right, now cut a row off and we'll come on this other side now. Just bringing it this way, just putting in some highlights just to make that stand out a little bit. There we go. This is the side that's Getting that first morning light to the day. Need to replenish some color. What time is it?
Yeah, 3 to 10.
Okay. Yeah.
I was afraid there for a second we'd be making it by the skin of our teeth, but
Well, let's not count our chickens before they hatch.
that's fair.
Okay, let's put a little more of our titanium white in here. So we have a little more something to catch the highlights. These were going on, but they were a little dull, I'm afraid. Okay, let's see. There we go. There we go. That's better. That is better. Just give us more separation between that light and the dark. And that's really what it's all about with our paintings. We're just trying to separate light and dark so you can tell what is what. There we are. There we go. All right, come to this one, and we just bring it down. That's right. There we go. There we go. Just pick that up and lay it right down on your canvas. There we are. That's how we tell our stories. We tell about the dark and the light. We tell about our dark and the light that overcomes. All right. Bring this down. There we go. There we go. That's right. Just lay this down. Mix your colors in. Got a little too much there. There we go. Scrape some of that off. There we go. That's a good way to lay in our mountains. We're just going to come in now with our 2-inch brush and we're going to tap. Just tap the base of these mountains and bring it up on those angles. We want this mist, and that's okay if you've got some dark spots in there. There is underneath the mist. So as you tap it in, just bring it right up that mountain. And that's creating this mist at the bottom, which separates it from the valley that we're in. There we go, knock off some of that color. Then come back and do the same. And when you tap this, it's bringing that liquid white that's underneath. Brings it out and helps to create the mist that's in there. There we go. There we go. Knock that paint, maybe wash it off. Haha, there we go. Come back, do the same on this one. And just keep those angles, as I said, in mind as you go right up into the mountains and soften those details. There we go. Okay, so now let's come in. We'll give our mountains just some trees and green things growing on them. So we're just going to soften up our green with some yellow. Soften that sap green. Just tap this into the brush. Now we're just going to come back, and in the back here we're just going to tap in some of our foothills as these come up the mountains. And remember your angles again when you're doing these. Those angles are very important. There we are. Those just march up. Some march a little higher than others. This is where your tree line stops. Just as you do this, just think of the mountains and foothills and things that you've seen. There we go. And you can lighten or darken your color as you go. Because of course, some will pick up more light than others do. There we are. March that right up those mountains. Now, the one thing with these, the trees grow straight up, and as we've put it, they look like they're a little slanted, like there's a giant wind coming through and pushing them over, but we don't want that. So what we do is we go back, and we're not looking to add more paint at this point, but what we're going to do is we're just going to lift those trees straight up, no matter the angle of the hillside that they grow on, and you'll grab some colors and things in there, and it'll make one stand out maybe a little more than the other. But you're just lifting that Straight up. There we go. Not touching it hard, just making it so you can see it's coming straight up. And sometimes you may grab a little too much paint off of there. But just come back. That's fine. That's fine. Just lift those trees. Straight up. Straight up. There we go. And if you grab some of the black off your mountain, that's okay. You can just tap that in and come back. And again, just lift it straight as you go up. Straight, straight, straight. There we go. Straight as one of Legolas's arrows. Okay. Now we've come to the point in our story where Professor Tolkien tells us our travelers came to a low ridge that was crowned with holly trees, ancient holly trees whose gray-green trunks seemed as if they had been built out of the very stone of the hills. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to put in our low ridge and our holly trees and other trees, evergreen trees, those types of things. So let's go and let's mix up. We're going to mix up a dark green color. Dark green with our sap green and our black and some burnt umber. There we go. Just darken that out. I'm picking up a little too much white there, but we'll take care of that. We'll take care of that. There we go. Just load it up on your brush. Really load it up on the brush. Now, we're going to add a lot of trees quickly in here. And we're doing that right in this valley back here. And these trees don't have a lot of detail, so we just come in. There we go. Just come back to your color, load it up again, and just give highs and lows. Some trees are taller than others. These don't have a lot of detail. And if you see a spot the colors were too close together, just darken it up and come back in and go right over the top and put a few that will separate it. My fan brushes are a little well loved at this point, so they give us these crooked trees and things. And that's okay. That's what trees look like in the forest. Don't make them all the same height either. You want variation of color and height and fullness. There we go. Just drop those in. There we go. So let's just come through and just quickly add those in. No real rhyme or reason. Just laying them down here. There we go. These guys just live in the back. What's hiding in those trees, we don't know. We'll have to do some adventuring ourselves to figure that one out. Just drop those in as quickly as you can. There's not a lot of detail here. And with these two, we'll come back and we'll soften out the bottom of the base of the trees, just to give ourselves that haze at the bottom. And there we go. As you have that the darker paint on there, spread it out a little bit and it'll lighten up as you push it in. There we are. There we go. Just very quickly drop in all these trees here. Okay, now that we have those down, we're going to come back and we're going to soften the base of those trees. So we come in and now we just tap these out. Just tap that out. There we go. Just do that whole area right at the bottom of these trees. There will be some light that peeks through, some areas that have more shadow than others. There we are. All the way across. Some places that'll... Now let's come back to that fan brush. And we're going to put some trees that are a little bit closer. And maybe still a little more in the shadow. And we'll come back and we'll highlight them when we're done. So let's just step back over this way. There we go. Now these are going to be some of our evergreen trees. And the way we do these is just give ourselves, start with a line. And you don't have to go all the way down. We're not going to see it all the way down. But then you come back and just zig-a-zag back and forth. There we go. Getting wider and wider as you come down. Just really putting some of that paint on there. There we go. There we go. And maybe there'll be one right here. Just do a line. Come with the corner of your brush. Just back and forth. Back and forth. There we go. Flip that fan brush over if you need to. There we are. We'll do another one right here. Just start with the corner of the brush and just turn it wider and wider as you come down. There we go. We'll do some on these other paintings. We're not going to spend too much time putting these in, but they can, it's a nice way to put a tree in quickly to your painting. Just start with that line and then the corner of your brush, back and forth. And then when you get down lower, just really turn it, put those branches in. And we'll come back and give this tree a highlight after a bit. And I like this dark spot on the bottom. When we put that black gesso down, it gives us something that can really let our colors come through. So it's a very nice way to paint, whether you're doing it on an all black canvas or you're just lay down a little area where you want more of that dark shadow. It's a real fantastic way to do it. And as you can see, this one maybe comes down even further. That's a big tree. As you can see, the dark color is picked up because you can see the highlights behind it, but as you come lower, the shadows will pick up the color in there. Let's not leave these last two out. Give them some of those evergreen trees. This one comes up right here. Back and forth. There we go. Just flip your brush over if you need to, if you're running out of paint. And just with the corner of the brush, back and forth. Back and forth. There we go. And the last one. So you can see we're not doing these paintings all exactly the same. We're putting trees and things. They're mostly the same. Flip that brush over and bring it right down. There we go. There we go. Now, let's give this guy a little highlight. What we want to do, first we want to give a little bit of a tree trunk, just poking through. So we make up just a bit of a brown color, and we're going to come in and just give the indication of your tree trunk in there. Some you'll be able to see more than others. Now these trees will have pine cones and things, so if you're ever caught in one with a wizard and there's wargs chasing you, you'll be able to light them on fire and throw them down. That's always a good thing. Okay, so let's come back now and let's make a bit of a highlight color with our sap green. There we go. So we're just going to highlight some of these leaves, some of our trees. We're just going to come in. There we are. And what this does is this just gives you highlight to lay on top of those darks. That helps your trees stand out. There we are. This just plays against those dark leaves that you pushed in. Okay, so we laid that down. Let's just get a little bit of that yellow. And we'll just throw a quick highlight on just a few of these branches that are on our highlight side. There we go. There we are. There we are. Just lay it down rather quick. Now remember, if it's your painting, you put the trees wherever you want, in as many as you want. Really, I would fill this all up with these trees so you can just see the ones in the back peeking through. But since we're trying to get through this with the best time that we can, we won't spend all day doing those little details. There we go. You can, or you can just do it quickly if you don't have a lot of time. There we go. Okay, Got some of those trees in there. All right. Now, as we said, our travelers came to a low ridge that was crowned with ancient holly trees. So what we're going to do is let's give ourselves some details on this low ridge. So we're just going to come in just into our white, and we're going to just pull this straight down. There's a little bit of water in here. We always love to have water in our paintings. So we'll just pull this straight down. There we go. There we go. Our ridge will be over on the left side of our painting. But right now, let's just pull this straight down, straight down. There we go. And this water is coming from somewhere in the back. These ridges, Professor Tolkien tells us, have water running through them. There we go. And depending on where you put your trees, yours will look a little different than mine. There we go. Let's wash off that brush. Just beat the sarin out of it. There we go. Now, with a clean dried brush, we're just going to pull those over just to give it the appearance of water and reflection. There we are. Same to this one. Just some dark water running through the valley. And you see it picks up that color we put underneath. There we are. Okay. Now, what we'll do is we'll come up with a color for the shore. Just some land. Just cut it off and just run that right up to the water. There we are. Now over here is going to be our ridge. So what we'll do is maybe just bring this down. And we'll come and we'll put some grass on top of that ridge in a little bit. So again, just bring that right down to the water. And this tree comes right out over it. There we go. Our ridge that's right here. Put that in. I can tell it's getting hotter and hotter. Our paint is getting very slippery. There we go. There we go. Give that a good mix. And then we'll put in where our ridge comes. All right. Okay, Now we need to put a ridge in. So we just need some grassy area for that. So let's go to this green here. And this is the ridge. Just bring that right down over that. Maybe some erosion happened there at one time. But this is where our travelers have come to. After a long, stumbling night march, they make it to this ridge where they can peer out and see their goal. That's where they're headed. They want to make that Redhorn Pass right through the Dimrildale. There we are. Now let's just put some grass and things down here, right up to the water. Right up to the water. There we go. And I'm just going to move right from one to the other. This grass just comes right out here. This is a place where they plan to eat breakfast. And their plan was to stay there. Their plan was to stay there all day and all night. They had been marching through the night for so many days. Now they plan to stay all day and all night. But some crows came, and Aragorn thought better of it. And if you bring a ranger with you, you'd better listen to his advice. All right. There we go. Bring that grass right up. If this was during the summer and you wanted to dive right into the water, you could jump right off that ridge there. That'd be a nice thing to do, cool you off. But in the story, oh, this is in the middle of winter, and they were quite cold. There we go. Bring this here. There we are. Okay, now we're pretty close to being done. Just one thing left to do, and that's to give ourselves some of those holly trees. Who, as the story said, their gray-green trunks looked as though they were built out of the very stone of the mountain. Let's try and take some of this green, see if we can match that more to the way Tolkien describes it. Go away, bee! I hope that doesn't mean Bjorn is around with these bees flying at me. Okay, so here is one of our holly trees. We're just going to come right up like this. Oh, look at that. I grabbed some of that mountain and automatically gave my tree a highlight without even thinking about it. Now, there were more and more holly trees Some on this side. They ringed the valley. There we go. Put one here. Hello, Mr. B. You might not want to land on this painting. Or me. Go away. Oh, these bees. There we go. Right up there, right up to it. There we are. Now, maybe a little highlight. Maybe a little highlight on the side of that. There we are. Just bring your brush around to make that trunk. Make that trunk look rounded. Rounded, rounded. There we go. Now, there are many different kinds of holly trees. Some of them look like Christmas trees. Some of them are taller. These are some of our tall ones. There we go. Now we haven't used this 1-inch brush. Let's just come into him, and we're going to get this dark color. And we'll just give it right into our holly trees. There we go. Just give him just some of these dark leaves that'll be in the back. There we go. Some over here. Now, let's give it a highlight color. And I can tell we are just about done because my paints are melting right off. The paints are melting right off the palette. There we go. Just bring these right down here. Now, the one distinct feature with holly trees is their red berries. Okay, now Professor Tolkien told us that their berries were shining, and there we go, we knocked some of the red off and just put just the faint touches of red in the tree, and those are the holly berries. Those are the holly berries. Just put them in, there we go. There we are. Okay, there you have it. We've got our 4 paintings. As I said, each unique in its own way, but duplicate paintings. Now, we did that today as just a challenge, just to see if we could do it. You don't have to do 4 paintings at once, but I thought you might find it fun to see me do it that way. Anyways, thank you for joining me. Thank you for supporting the joy of painting Middle-earth. I'm happy that you've found me, that you've been here with me for so many episodes, or you just found me today. It's a lot of fun. Please hit the subscribe button, join my fellowship, and come on the adventure with me. Goodbye and God bless.